Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns. Yana Kasperczak coming to you live from Ontario of Canada as your certified professional performance and spiritual awakening core energy coach. It has been my soul's purpose to help women, to help you get your shit together so you can break free from the mental prison that you find yourself in and build a business and a life that you're not only proud of, but excited to wake up to every single day. And stop self-sabotage, stop procrastinating, and get disciplined. That's why today's topic that I wanted to bring to you all is a story of every single woman that I had worked with, every single woman that I had talked with that wanted things in her life, but was never able to reach them because a lack of discipline. And the topic for today is 8 reasons why women on their healing and spiritual awakening journey struggle with self-discipline. And there are various reasons why women do struggle with self-disciplines, and they're all stem from the deep emotional and psychological and societal factors. Today we'll just talk about 8 of them, and feel free to actually, and I invite each and every one of you to share why you struggle with your self-discipline. Why do you believe you struggle with it? What stands in your way? What causes you to not follow through on doing the things that you say you want to do and not be disciplined? See, I know a lot of us human beings want to be disciplined, but will not do the work that is involved in being disciplined. Not being disciplined, but being disciplined. When you are disciplined and not trying to be disciplined, it's a very different approach to life. And you wait until you are ready. You wait until you have all the ducks in a row. You wait until you feel motivated, or you wait until you feel inspired to do the things that you want to do. But this is the reason why you end up waiting and waiting and waiting until you feel like doing something, until you are motivated and inspired. But discipline is a different approach. Discipline is you do it regardless of how you feel. If you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it, you're going to show up. You did it when you were growing up. You didn't want to go to school, but you were disciplined enough to go to school, to show up for class, day after day, class after class, running from one class to the next class, and you were on time and you did it. Did you want to? No. But it was teaching you discipline. It was teaching you punctuality. And the reason why I wanted to bring out this topic is because one of the, actually quite a few conversations I've had in the coaching sessions and then on calls, we're talking about discipline. And we were talking about, because I work with women who most of them are mothers. And one of the things that each one of them struggled with, as did I, was cleaning. Cleaning the house and maintaining the house and showing up for those things that I had to do, that I was responsible for. I don't see them as the things that I have to do, because those are the things that I get to do. But it took work to change that mindset, just like it does for every other human being. Sometimes we feel like we have to do those things. But if you really didn't want to, if you really, really didn't want to, there are different ways to go about it. Some women have hired help. They don't want to clean the house and they would much rather pay someone else to clean their house. By all means, go right ahead. If you don't have the money, what's more valuable, time or money? You can never get more time, but you can always get more money. So some of these women came to a realization that, hey, I can just spend maybe half an hour more at work or an hour more at work, and I will pay for the cleaning lady to come and clean the house once a week, and I don't have to. So it allows them that much more time to do what they want to do. While others, they learn to love cleaning because they see that this is not only teaching them discipline, but teaching them also love. So one of the little notes that I wrote down for myself is cleaning is a form of discipline. And discipline is the ultimate act of self-love. So the biggest reason why so many people, women especially, struggle with self-discipline is because they don't truly love themselves. They might think or try to love themselves and do all the things that feel like they're loving themselves, but deep down in their roots, they don't truly love themselves. Because the people that truly love themselves, they do what they say they're going to do, and they're disciplined enough to do those things because they also respect themselves. Respect also comes from a place of love. So number one reason, this was just a little bonus note that I took. Number one reason is inner resistance. When women are engaging in healing and spiritual practices, it can bring up deeply rooted and those emotions that are deep down inside of each and every woman, and those deeply rooted fears and insecurities. It brings them out. And it causes inner resistance. And as women start to go into that inner world that they have, they can encounter and come across roadblocks, resistance from their ego and their subconscious default programming, that mind, the subconscious mind, which leads them into avoidance, self-sabotage, procrastination, self-doubt, and sometimes complete withdrawal from the world, from reality. Inner resistance is there as an opportunity to see what area of ourselves that needs a little bit more work and attention. If we look at that inner resistance that we have as if it is a hurting child, we would approach it in a different way. So if you see that inner child within you that is resisting to go to class on the first day because the child is scared, and you have been there and you have done that, you can only say so much, but the child is not going to hear you. It's not going to understand you because you have all of these years of experience knowing that this is not even as scary as life gets to be. But to that child, it's the scariest thing ever. So when you are in that moment, when you're facing that resistance within you, approaching it as if it is a child that has never experienced this before and is experiencing for the first time, and talking to yourself in that same way with calm and peace and loving compassion, it will allow you to move through it with much more ease. Because otherwise, if you continue to ignore and avoid and procrastinate even dealing with that inner voice, with that inner critic, it will continue to grow out of proportion. The fear just gets bigger. The resistance becomes much more stronger and more difficult to combat later. The second reason is, for obvious reasons, trauma and healing. Because women, especially the women that I work with, they have been through some shit. And they got their own shadows, they got their own demons that they're ready to work on, that they're ready to tackle, and their traumas come up for them, which becomes an opportunity to heal and grow from them. Not stay in there, but grow and learn from them. And these women embark on their journey of healing to get past those traumas, to get through those traumas, not avoid them. But they also know that these were some painful experiences that they've gone through, and they have allowed that painful experience to stay with them longer than it needed to. And sometimes that experience that they went through, that they keep thinking and working through and dwelling on, is not the actual lesson that it was trying to teach them, that there was some other things that were around it. Because the best way to describe it is like, we all have blinders. When we focus on this pain and this experience and this trauma that we went through, that if we just took those blinders off and put that one aside or left it there and just looked around, what were the other things that I went through around that time? What else could it have been? Maybe there was something else that the person was going through, that you were going through, that made this trauma the loudest, this experience the loudest, but it wasn't the one that you're actually trying to heal from. That there's more to it than that. And healing from trauma requires a massive amount of courage, vulnerability, self-compassion, and it's natural, completely natural, to experience periods of resistance and even relapse on that path of healing. It's important to actually even relapse. I see this all the time. I went through that myself as well, where you're growing, you're doing great, you're doing amazing, and then you find yourself back in your old ways. And it's important to go back, because this is how you build resilience. This is how you build the strength to work through the resistance. You build resilience, right? Where you're becoming more flexible, right? You stretch yourself as the elastic band, and you go back to where you want to, and then you go back to where you don't want to, where you were, so you can go back further than where you were from when you went back. This is how growth happens. We don't grow just because we're here and this is how we are living our life. This is the things that we overcame, and that everything else is in the past and that's it. We don't grow from this point on and just do better and better and better. We go back. We'll go back, and our past comes back up in one way or many others. But it serves as a powerful reminder and a teacher and a guide as well to where we're going. We understand our life by reflecting back on it, but we live our life moving forward. And it's important to reflect back on our life so we can understand how we had lived our life, and change what needs to be changed, because life moves forward. We live our life forward. And in order for us to live the life that we want to, it's important to understand where we were, who we are now, and continue and reprogram that default program that we all have, so everything becomes easier. Initially, yes, it's going to be a little harder, because you're going into the roots. You're working on the default program. You're reprogramming a computer that you didn't have a say in how to program and what programs to put and install. But now that you're awakened or awakening on your spiritual awakening journey, you start to recognize that you do have a choice on what program you're going to be running on, what you're going to put into that program, and what you're going to get rid of. But it's going to take time to clean those things up. It's like thinking of yourself as a computer. If you're a computer and you're one of like the older versions of computers, there's certain programs that you delete, and then for some reason they seem to appear, or you can't fully delete them because now they're attached to this system or to that system. And if you delete this program, this one is going to get affected, and this one you need to be dealing with. Same thing with us. When We work on one part of ourselves. There's other parts of ourselves that are going to come in. Those different programs. They're going to challenge this one. You really want to delete this because you know if you delete this program, this is going to come up and this is going to come up and this and this and that. And then you got to work through all of them little by little, one at a time. So that was number 2, the trauma and healing. The third reason why women on their healing and spiritual awakening journey struggle with self-discipline is trying to be perfect and having unrealistic expectations. So perfectionism and expectations. Those two are at the root of why women struggle to be self-disciplined. Struggle with self-discipline. Hey, Kelly, how are you doing? Good morning to you as well. So women often face societal pressure, those external expectations, to excel in multiple or in all the roles that they have, to uphold unrealistic standards of perfection, of what a perfect mother is supposed to be, what a perfect wife is supposed to be, what a perfect daughter is supposed to be, what a perfect friend is supposed to be. And also think about it this way. You have one mother, one father, right? You need to be a perfect daughter for your mother and a perfect daughter for your father. And based on your experiences with living with your mom and with your dad, you have certain understanding of what perfect daughter means, looks, and sounds like to your mother. And then to your father. And those are usually not the same. Now, let's say you have siblings. You gotta be a perfect sister to those siblings. You've lived with that sibling and you have a certain understanding of what an expectation of that sibling is in order for you to be the perfect sibling for them. Then you have a partner, same concept. You have children, same concept. Now, let's say you have 2 parents. Let's say you have 1 sibling, you have 1 partner, and then let's say you have 2 children. So that's 6. You got to be 6 different people for these 6 different people. And you keep trying to be someone for this person, for that person, for that person, for that person, for this one, for this one. And then you also add friends on top of that. Or maybe you have other family members, that it's not just your sibling and your mom and dad. Maybe you have more siblings. Let's add 2 more siblings. Let's add your grandparents to that, right? Let's add a friend to it. That's 11. That's just 1 friend. And you gotta be someone different for all of these different people. You're playing all of these roles for everyone. And by the way, all of this happens subconsciously, unconsciously, because your default program dictates that you gotta be a perfect this and a perfect that and a perfect this and a perfect that for every single person. And you have a certain understanding of what they want you to be, what they need you to be, or who they need you to be. And eventually your system will crash. Your true authentic self will need the deep rest to force you to learn how to stop playing all these roles for everyone and just figure out who you are and play one role and live in one way, have one mind and not these multiple different roles or different characters that you're playing, and just be you. And this is what most people refer to as depression, where they go through depression, where the body and the mind and the soul can no longer keep up with all of these acting jobs, and the whole human is forced to go on a healing and spiritual awakening journey, to awaken to the one self and learn how to choose the self, learn how to say no, learn how to set boundaries, learn that perfection is an illusion, that you're not meant to be perfect, that you already are, and learn that expectations, they are just premeditated disappointments and resentments, that the moment that you learn and start to understand the truth of what expectations actually mean to you, and then also what they mean, what perfection means, and the effects all those have on you, the control within you as well, that once you just let go and trust the universe, that it's going to bring you to where you're meant to be, you will get there much faster, because you let go of resistance, you let go of control, you let go of expectations, and you flow so much easier and smoother, and you work through anything that comes your way with much more ease. But it's easier said than done. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it, and otherwise everybody would be doing it on their own. And this is something that very, very few people, actually, I don't know any people who could do it on their own. No one can do it on their own. Everyone has someone who helps and guides them on such journeys. And there's an enormous amount of options of people that can help you on that journey, to help you get to where you want to get to. You just need to have some sort of understanding of where you want to get to, some sort of a destination, because otherwise you will be, if you don't know where you're going, and your road would lead you. And if you also don't know where you're going, you're not going to know where you're going. You're not going to know how you're going to get there. You just have a feeling that you want to be happy and you want to live a fulfilling life, but you don't even know what that means to you, what that looks like to you. How are you going to know when you got there? How are you going to know that? The image that I'm thinking of is like, you are a ship, and you're a captain of your own ship. If you don't plan on where you're going to go with this ship, who's going to be on that crew with you on that ship to help you, whatever it is that you're going through, that support fortress. So if you don't have the navigation system, you don't know where you're going, you don't have the right support, you don't have a plan of, if this happens, this is what I do, if this happens, this is what I do, you're never going to get out of harbor. You can turn the ship on, you might get lucky if the ship finally finds a way to get out of harbor, but that ship at that point probably will be pretty beat up. You turn it on and you just let it go, right? And you just see what happens. So part of trusting the universe actually involves you having some kind of understanding and guidance as to where you're going, where you're trying to get to. And then the universe says, okay, this is where you want to go. Great. I'm going to give you this test. I'm going to give you that test, and see how actually, if you really want that, and see if you pass, if you fail. And the tests or the exams are going to be fairly simple, and yet they're not going to feel simple. They're going to feel like you're being tormented, you're being tortured on the inside emotionally. And often it comes down to, do I say yes to it or do I say no to it? And then the answer becomes easy when you move away from the question and then go within and ask yourself, remind yourself, what is my plan? What do I want to do? Where am I trying to go to with my life? What experiences do I want? Now, when you refresh yourself of that, the answer to that question becomes very easy and very simple. Yes or no. And most of the time, it will be a no. Because the universe brings you a test in the form of a challenge that you want this, you want that, but let me give you something that will affect you, not experiencing that, not having that, that it will take you in a different direction, bring you back to who you were, because where you're trying to go is not who you are right now, it's who you're trying to be. But I'm going to see and test you and challenge you and see if this is actually who you want to be in the life that you want to have and experience by giving you a choice that will bring you back and trigger your default program. For women, it's usually in the realm of putting other people's first, being a caregiver, taking care of everyone, being a people pleaser, making sure that everybody else is happy, and then you get to choose you. So putting everybody else before yourself, then being here. So that's why it's usually going to be a no to whatever is coming up, and then a yes to whatever's going to bring you to where you want to be. The things that, if you ask a question, let's say you were invited to a party and you really don't feel like going, but you end up going because everybody else is expecting you, everybody else is wanting you to go. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to enjoy it. You're going to be miserable, because now you might find yourself in a place where you no longer fit in, because you've grown so much that everyone there at the party is talking about the hair, the lipstick, the makeups, the products, or stuff that no longer has meaning to you. And you would much rather be alone by yourself, because that would be a more intelligent conversation than being in a room full of small-minded people that are focusing on little things while you're going through your healing and spiritual awakening journey, and you much rather talk about your growth and evolution or hear from others about their growth and evolution to remind you of what's possible. So that was number 3. Number 4, let's go through them a little bit quicker now. Number 4 is overwhelm and burnout, which is pretty standard. This is why most women do find themselves struggling with self-discipline, because they're putting so much on their plate and they're trying to balance healing and their spiritual practices with their daily responsibilities, such as work, career, caregiving, kids, relationships, and themselves as well. And all of that juggling can be, and usually is, challenging until they start to find their footing and everything just seems to fall into place. And this is where women end up struggling, prioritizing their self-care amidst all of this competing demands for their time and their attention, which leads them into burnout, fatigue, and lack of motivation, no inspiration, no energy, and just drained, where they feel like a zombie. Does that sound familiar? Probably to some of you. So number 5 is they struggle with their identity and their worthiness. This is very normal. This is the default program that practically everyone has received. And when women start to engage in healing and spiritual practices, it does require confronting their core beliefs, that default program, that are rooted in their self-worth and rooted in their identity, because most women don't even know who they are. They think they do, but they don't. And it brings up the feelings and emotions of deservingness, that I feel like I don't deserve this. And if you feel like you don't deserve it, you're not going to have it. And then the reality goes to, well, see, I knew I didn't deserve it because now it's gone. It's not here anymore. Well, of course, if you don't believe you deserve it, then you're not going to have it. That's why it's important to heal that default program, to heal that self-identity that you have. But once you start healing it, all those things that are yours are going to come to you. And you're going to be ready to have them. And yes, some of those things you still are going to feel uncomfortable with, and you're going to work through, because that's how the universe does things. It challenges you. It's not just going to give you peace without and patience without you earning that peace and patience. Everything that every single human being has, that you might compare yourself to and say, oh, this person has this and that person has that, and I want that. It didn't come easy to them. They earned it. They worked for it. Most people work for it very, very hard. Very few people will talk out loud about all the hard work that was involved in them reaching the Mount Everest that they reached. And when they do talk and share about it, they still can't share all of it because the journey was tedious and it was lengthy. And they can only share a bird's eye view of what they went through. And yes, you can understand, you can somewhat relate, but you won't fully understand and you won't fully relate until you go through those things yourself. And then you sit back and you say, wow, I now understand what it takes to get to the Mount Everest. And now that I'm here, I want to stay here. And then you have to go through what it takes to stay there as well. Everything is earned. And women often do struggle with feelings of unworthiness, self-doubt, self-loathing, questioning whether they deserve to invest time and energy or money into their own healing journey. And this one I come across more than I can count. I have women coming to me and asking for help and support and want to work with me, but more often than not, I find myself and they find themselves not ready to invest the time or to invest the energy or the money to do what is involved in becoming the version of themselves that they want. But many of them become ready fairly quickly. All of us need time to feel enough pain and suffering to say, oh, I've had enough. I'm done. I'm good. Now I am ready to do everything and anything it takes to get to where I want to. And they start tapping into that self-discipline and they stick to it. And they go and they go and they go. And when they look back and reflect, everything is amazing and it just propels them to that Mount Everest that much more quicker. And of course, the normal experience is to revert back because self-doubt, unworthiness, that identity comes up because you're stepping into someone new that you haven't been before. And you gotta experience the death and rebirth, the death of the old version of you, and then the birth and rebirth of the new version of you. Time and time and time and time and time again. This is part of the journey called life, especially spiritual awakening. Another reason why women struggle with the self-discipline is, as I mentioned, lack of support. There's right support and there's wrong support. There's those who will give you the time and the space to unleash and unload what you're going through, but not help you in the ways that you need help to get to that next step because they're not really hearing what you're saying and what you're dealing with and what you're going through. They're not experts in that field. They're just a shoulder or an ear to cry on or to talk into. And yes, those are great, but it does not solve the problem. It does not go into the root to now cut out that root and heal that root and grow a new one in place of that one. It doesn't expand your mind and remind you of what you're capable of and who you're capable of being and becoming. And remind you of what your goals and dreams are. And remind you of who you actually are. So lack of support and lack of right support. This is one of the things that women face as one of the biggest barriers to self-discipline due to lack of support or understanding from the societal circle or the community they're in, or family or friends. Without a supportive network of peers, mentors, coaches, experts, allies, it can be challenging, if sometimes not impossible, to stay motivated and accountable on that healing journey. If healing journey was easy and spiritual awakening journey was easy, everybody would be doing it. But most people are hiding from it and running away from it and not dealing with anything. They're avoiding dealing with any kind of discomforts that are coming up for them. And I know that's not you. That's why you're still listening. That's why you're still probably taking notes of what you're going to be doing after you're done listening to this video, to this podcast. So let's move on to number 7. So number 7 is fear of change. Everybody says they want to change, that they're ready for change, but not everybody is. But everybody is scared of change, because change itself brings a lot of unknown. Change itself is the fear of unknown. It is that deep, dark cave that everybody is scared to go into because they don't know what they're going to find there. But once they pause and think and realize that the only thing they will find in that cave is the truth about who they are, and they will find themselves, their true, authentic self in that cave that's hiding in the deepest, darkest corners. And you gotta get through a lot of things to get to her. So of course it's not gonna be easy, but it's gonna be worth it, and fairly quickly when you will start to notice the difference between your life now and your life on this journey of you going after yourself and finding yourself in that deep and dark cave, where once you get there, you realize that the cave is not even that dark. It is the brightest place that you could ever be. And you embrace yourself, allow yourself to be you, and practice and learn and practice to not care about the external world if it is not meant to be for you. To learn to let go and release and practice detachment, emotional detachment from others, from expectations, your own expectations of others, your stories, your perfectionism, your compareitis, your imposter syndrome, your dark shadow self. But also allow her to exist, because she's always going to be there. You can't run away from her. And that's what most people try to do. They try to run away from the shadow, from the dark side of themselves. But maybe I want you to think back when you were a kid and you realized there was a shadow. You go outside and there's a shadow. Have you tried running away from that shadow? Were you successful? Or did you get scared of your shadow and then you tried to run away from it? How successful were you running away from that shadow? You notice how when you go in the darker places, there is no shadow? And this is where you feel comfortable and safe. So what if you go into that dark cave that you're scared of, that fear of change, the fear of unknown? You go in that cave and you learn to get comfortable in the uncomfortable, where it's dark, and you become one with the shadow, because the shadow is you. And even though you don't see the shadow when you're hiding in the cave or under a tree, it's still there. It's still part of you. You just don't see it. You gotta practice and practice and practice accepting that shadow self. Not trying to run away from her. not ignoring her, not avoiding her, not pretending she doesn't exist, but to allow her to exist and learn to appreciate her existence, because she will be your most powerful teacher of them all. Your shadows, your shadow self, your traumas, the things that you have gone through and experiences, your stories, who you are and who you were, the most powerful teachers that you cannot replace and you cannot escape and you cannot run away. You can try, and many people do try, but those are the people that are living miserable, unhappy lives. You probably know a few. So, number 8, so with the fear of change, the only thing I think it would be just a reminder that what you're going to be doing is you're going to be stepping outside of your comfort zone. And that's where the fear is coming from. And you're going to be embracing change. And we don't grow when we're comfortable. When we grow when we are uncomfortable. That's what they're called, growing pains. And your job, when it comes to you becoming the best version of yourself and mastering yourself, self-mastery journey called life, is you're meant to learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortable and become more and more comfortable in the uncomfortable, and start to seek out those opportunities for growth and evolution for yourself. And you will be amazed of how strong and unlimited you actually are. You don't believe me? I challenge you to try, and then come and tell me how it turned out for you when you did something scary and uncomfortable. How it did turn out for you. How did you feel about yourself? What came up for you? What did you learn from it? And it's normal to feel that fear of letting go and resisting the change, because you're comfortable living in your patterns and your habits. Even though it doesn't feel good anymore, you're still comfortable there because it's familiar, it's safe, it's something that you already know. But everything else, you don't know. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how you're going to feel. But if you pause and you think about it, and you really allow yourself to answer those questions that are coming up in your mind, you have a higher coach within you. She comes up and she asks you questions to challenge you, to remind you that, well, if I go and I do this, how am I going to feel after? Right? Too often you might focus on how you're going to feel during. Okay, yes, you're going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to hurt. You're going to be scared. Okay, but then when you're done, how are you going to feel 10 minutes after you're done? One of the things that I help women do is also start doing their live videos, to go online and or even to start posting a lot, to be present online. And that's one of the things that comes up for them when they're fearful that I'm going to be scared, I'm going to be ridiculed, I'm going to go through this, I'm going to feel this, I'm going to feel that, and I can't, and I'm just terrified. Okay, let's say you made that post and you went live, regardless of how you felt. When you're done, how do you think you will feel 10 minutes after you're done? Oh, I'll feel relieved. I feel like I can breathe again. I'll feel alive. I think I will feel proud of myself. I feel like I did something that I thought was going to kill me, but I survived. I don't think I'm going to die, even though I feel like I was going to die. Okay. So how would you feel 10 hours from that point on? Well, I feel like I would be ready to go do another video or make another post, but I'm going to go through the same feelings and emotions of that roller coaster ride. Okay. Granted. True. Yes, you will. Because it takes time to reprogram that default programming of being public and speaking on public stages, or posting for everyone to see, hanging your underwear for everyone to see outside, so to speak. But the second time when you're done, how are you going to feel 10 minutes from that point on? Similar response. But now, what about the third time when you go live? I don't think I'll be as scared anymore. So you're telling me that you do something for the third time and it will feel easier. I guess it will. Okay, so let's say 10 months from now on, and you've gone live every single day. How are you going to feel 10 months from today, going live for the first time? 10 months from now, when you have gone live, you want to do calculation? Let's do a calculation. Sit down, do a calculation. How will you feel 10 months after having done this many live videos? Oh, I'm going to feel like I can do anything. So what would it take for you to do your first one? Oh, it will just take me get my phone, come up with a title, topic. But I don't think I can. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Okay, well, if you were just speaking to your best friend that needs your expertise or the favorite things that you can talk about for hours, what would you talk about? Oh, talk about this and this and that's not. Okay, so out of those 10 that you just mentioned to me, which one would it be? Which one would you choose to start with? Oh, this one. Okay, so what would it take for you to start with this topic today? Ooh, today, I don't know if I can do it today. No, we're not putting it off to tomorrow. We're doing it today. So what would it take for you to start with this topic that you just said you're very passionate about talking and you have a lot to say about this topic? What would it take for you to start today? And I start making a little plan, right? So it's very normal to fear change and step out of that comfort zone, but we don't grow in our comfort zones. You can imagine where these women are that put themselves out there and start doing the scary things that are now no longer scary. Those are the things that excite and motivate them, that they look forward to, that is part of not just their career, but it's part of who they are. This is how they help the world with the things that they love and can talk about for hours and lose all track of time. So the last one, the last eighth reason why women on their healing and spiritual awakening journey struggle with self-discipline is unmet needs and their self-care, because they stop or don't do enough prioritizing their self-discipline, which requires them honoring their own need for rest and their own need for nourishment and well-being and self-care. Women often do struggle with prioritizing themselves amidst all of the massive demands and massive to-do lists that they have, which leads them to neglect their physical, their emotional, and of course their spiritual well-being, which leads them to feeling like crap and avoiding or procrastinating, not feeling like they're worthy or good enough. It needs to start somewhere. And only you can decide where your self-discipline would start. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So think of one area in your life that you want to be disciplined. Not try to be disciplined, but be disciplined. It can be as little as making the bed every single morning or every single day you make the bed. Regardless of the time, that you make the bed every single day, that when you go to bed, the bed is made. It can be as simple as that. It could be, I want to go for a walk every single day. No matter the weather, I want to go for a walk every single day because that is where I want to be disciplined. Or maybe it's, I don't want to consume any sugar and I want to get sugar out of my diet. Or maybe just, I want to have lemon water every day. And that's going to be how I'm going to practice self-discipline. Pick one tiny small thing or area you want to practice self-discipline. I'm not inviting you to become disciplined in all areas of your life. That's not going to happen. That's not how it happens. It happens with small little steps, with just becoming familiar with what discipline is, what it feels like to you, what it looks like to you, and doing the thing that you say you want to do every day. Maybe you'll be exercising every day, and that's where you want to start. Maybe it's going to be read a book every day, and that's where you want to start. Whatever it is that you want to start doing every day, decide what it is. Let me know down in the comments what that one thing that you decided to become disciplined in doing. Because the ripple effect, that one thing is gonna seep in through you. You are starting to reprogram yourself into becoming disciplined and learning to really love yourself. And then later on, you can let me know how it went for you, if you actually stuck to it or not. Other than that, I don't have anything else to add or say. I believe this kind of covers those 8 reasons why women on their healing and spiritual awakening journey struggle with self-discipline, and give you a little bit of tips and tricks here and there to help you understand what's in it for you and what you can do about it to help you overcome your biggest roadblock, your biggest obstacle, which, yes, you guessed it, it's yourself. It's no one else. It's nothing else. It's none of those reasons that you can't do this because of this or this or that. None of those reasons, which, if we're being honest, they're excuses for most of us. It's you who simply does not believe you are ready or worthy of that thing that you want to be disciplined in and do every single day. And until you are ready, you're not going to do it. You're not going to change. So maybe you haven't experienced enough pain and suffering, and that's okay. That's actually a very powerful process that everyone must go through. And once you have experienced enough pain and suffering, you will be bought into whatever work is involved in you having the life, a business, or a career that you know you want and deserve. You get ready in the process of getting ready, of doing and doing and doing, and also trying, but more doing than trying. So that is all. Thank you, everybody, for being on here with me. Thank you, Kelly, for hopping on and watching the live and interacting with me a little bit on here. I love to hear from each and every one of you what that one little thing that you want to be disciplined in, and not asking to jump into the deep end, just in the shallow end where you're getting your feet wet, because this is a habit. If you want this to be you got to start small. Otherwise, if you jump into the deep end, you're less likely to try it again, because it will feel unachievable, unattainable. Start small, and how you do one thing is how you do everything. It's a lot easier than our mind makes it out to be. So until I see what you ladies have decided for yourselves to be disciplined in, and so just a reminder, so tomorrow, Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. ish Eastern time, you can come and join Bethany's and I podcast called Heal the Unicorn, and our Facebook group called Heal the Unicorn, Emotional Healing and Spiritual Growth for Women, where we go live on topics that help women to heal and grow spiritually. And we do this every single Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Or I might see you next week for another one of the story time with myself, Yana Kasperczak, where I go live on my personal page once a week on different topics that help women to do life and grow their life and their business in ways that actually matters, not only to them, but moves a needle and helps the world to become a better place. That's it. That's all. And until next time, bye everybody. Thanks for being on here. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.